everybody, how's it going? Here I am back with week 2 of my weekly rotations videos. I'll go through telling you everything I wore from Sunday through now today, Saturday, and what I wore through the daytime, what I wore through the night, how it wore with me, what I think about it. And again, these are things that I wear day-to-day basis, and not always gonna be cheapies or things that I enjoy, both designer, niche, indie, but I do try to make sure that I have a lot of cheapies because that's what I enjoy collecting. Let's start off with the first day, which was this past Sunday, and it was this one here, Rochas Moustache, and this is the Eau de Parfum version. So you know I already talked about this one in my winter cheapies video that I featured it. I think it's great for wintertime, but I also think it's good for fall and even springtime and maybe even summer on those cooler summer nights, like date nights, things like that. It is very pink pepper spicy on the top with a noticeable mandarin orange note, and it's not too bitter of an orange, but it is there. It's a bite with that spice in it. Of course, you do get benzoin and that vanillic sweetness and that warm resinous ambery kind of facet, very similar to YSL's Moustache in their private line, but it's also doing its own thing. I think Rochas has their own little spin on it. It's very, very classy. It was perfect for a Sunday church day and for daytime. It lasted me well almost all through the day. I actually did get better performance out of this than I usually do. So I think it's either where I'm getting more used to it or it's just getting better over time as it sits and macerates. But I absolutely love it. It is a classy scent, and the bottle does help with that, the presentation on it, because it has like that barbershop kind of feel, but super good quality. I mean, criminally underrated for being a cheapie. I know I used to be hyped years back, but I don't see it talked about as much now, and I still think that it deserves all the hype. It's so, so good. And then that night when I came home from church, I really didn't wear anything. I just had too much going on, had too much to work with, and didn't really think about wearing anything, so I just let the night go. But the next day at work, I decided to go with something that I've talked about before, at least in one of the live streams, and you may have seen it if you go through, and it is a clone, but it isn't gonna be just this, it's anything like this. And even though this iteration of the clone has been discontinued, it has been redid because of legal reasons, and you'll know what I mean when you say it. It is Maison Alhambra's Woody Oud, but it has been redid now to a different presentation and a different name, but I'm pretty sure it's the same fragrance. But for legal reasons, Tom Ford went against Maison Alhambra and said, you're gonna have to do something different, and they did. But still, the scent profile is phenomenal. It is so, so good. And I've actually had the chance to smell the real oud wood in person, had a little bit of a comparison by memory, and it is, I mean, almost 1-to-1. I'd say above 90%. And even if not, it still smells incredible. Didn't really get a whole lot with it when I first sprayed it and tested it when I first got it, but then like I did most of the Maison Alhambras and Middle Eastern clones, I let it sit back on the shelf, get some oxygen and macerate, and it's just turned into a beauty. Absolutely wonderful. Performance is really, really good with this. It actually lasted me all work day, even until the nighttime. I mean, at least 8 hours, if not more, and it just is gorgeous. I mean, woody oud, but not too funky. It's very smooth, has a nice cardamom note, very spicy, has a little bit of a sweetness to it, very soft. I mean, I think this is perfect for the office wear. I know it was good for where I was at, and I think really good for any occasion. Perfect from fall through winter, even a little bit in the spring days, but this stuff is just fantastic. And like I said, anything that is like this scent profile, you're gonna work good with through the winter and fall time, and like I said, office wear. But I think this is one of the better ones. Maison Alhambra did a phenomenal job with it. I just hate that they had to change the presentation, but it's for obvious reasons. And then that night, I had to go do some stuff up at my church and meet with some people. I decided to wear something that was very different, and you're gonna be seeing me wear more of these. This is actually a sample that I got from Scent Trunk, which is a company that reaches out to independent perfumers and gives them sometimes a certain note, sometimes a certain aroma chemical, and says, I want you to take this and make a fragrance around it. Whatever you think, whatever your style is. Sometimes they'll even give them a brief saying, I want you to make it around this certain concept, and those perfumers will make it, or take that and make something very interesting, sometimes very amazing with it. And one of the samples that I got was from a fragrance they have called Black Hemlock. This is a very dark, brooding fragrance. If you like Encre Noir and even Encre Noir All Extreme, even some things like Nishane's Hashivat or things like I have like Commodities, Moss Plus, fragrances like that, you're going to like this. It is a very bitter, super, super balsamic, almost acidic kind of quality at the front. Then it dries down to being a good dark woodiness. It is just a incredible, very artistic fragrance. Not everyone's gonna like it, but I love this kind of stuff. And performance isn't the best. I mean, I'm pretty sure with a full bottle, with a full spray, you might get a little better projection, but longevity is pretty average. I mean, 6 to 7 hours. I mean, like I said, maybe with a full size bottle, I get better out of it, but still, for what I wanted out of that night and just to wear it and see how it wore on my skin, it was just super interesting, very, very artistic. It is just very interesting. I mean, almost like a dark floral, by the way, too, because there's like a black hemlock note in it, but super good. I really enjoyed it. The next day, when I went back to work, I wanted to try a fragrance out that I really haven't worn a whole lot of, and I've talked about it before in one of my older videos when I reviewed the whole line this is from. This is from Camara Perfumes, and if you've been to TJ Maxx anytime recently, you more than likely seen this. It is Contra Pharos. It is the Royal Edition, and it is an eau de parfum concentration. This is the one that smells like Parfums de Marly Pegasus, and it is really, really good. I don't really have a point of reference for smelling the actual Pegasus. I have a sample of Pegasus Exclusive, and I can say just by that this is pretty on point with the Pegasus DNA, even though I do like Pegasus Exclusive a little more. It is very metallic. I mean, the look of the bottle matches perfectly. It's metallic. I know it has a lot of heliotrope, that floral kind of thing. It's very vanillic, almondy, that nuttiness, very musky. It's a soft fragrance, but as it dries down, it's a very attractive fragrance. I know it's very controversial and not many people like it. It is divisive, a lot of people say, because some of them don't like that kind of spikiness to it and that weird nuttiness with the metallic kind of notes and things like that, and I get it, but I actually do like this, and I'm very surprised that I do. And with this in particular cologne, it lasted me, I mean, almost all day, and it was a very soft projection by the end of the day, but it still had a great sillage to it, and it was soft enough for the office, as long as you don't go too loud with it, and it was really good. I do enjoy it, and I actually think that the Contra line from Camara Perfumes is an incredible line. I mean, very accurate and very nice scent profiles, way higher quality than the $14, $16 that I paid for them. And for that night, I had a piano lesson that I was giving to someone, and I decided to go with something that was very cozy, very warm, and actually very mass appealing that they would have liked if I was, being around them. It's a sample that I got from the Replica line from Maison Margiela, and this one is by the Fireplace. Everyone knows about it, or at least if you don't know about this, you might know about Altaf's Amir Al Oud Intense, which is a very, kind of think a more, not modern, but more likable, tolerable version of this, a little more mass appealing, not as smoky as this, and a little more vanilla forward, but this is gonna be a lot more smoky, almost like being, like I said, being by the fireplace, like it says, like roasting marshmallows, like you're in a room, with friends and you have a fireplace by, or you're in a campfire and people are eating, drinking coffee or hot chocolate and having marshmallows and desserts, that kind of cozy vibe with it. It is very much that, very woody, a little smoky, vanillic, sweet, has a little bit of a freshness at the top, but it quickly goes away. And weird thing is with this is that my wife actually loves this. And it's very interesting because she, I think, has a particular taste, and there's some things of mine that she does not like Encre Noir, but she loves the smokiness in this, which is very interesting. She loves to wear it on her, so I'm gonna have to buy a full bottle of this eventually. Not the best performance out of it. I mean, of course it is a sample, but it does last just about like 5 hours or so, but it still is very nice, intimate, perfect for date nights and for the fall, winter kind of season. And then the next day, I wore something that, I mentioned in my last week rotation that I bought, and my wife got me the Parfum version of the Eros line, and I mentioned that I actually got Eros Flame, and so that's what I wore. My friend Tommy has this one. Those of you who knew Tommy from the live stream that I recently did, he got this one first and wore it on him. I smelled it on him and absolutely loved it, so I knew at some point I was gonna have to get it myself. It is exactly like the Eros DNA, that vanillic freshness, not as much the mint, but it's definitely more citric, more fresh, bright at the top, and actually that citrus lasts for a good majority of the fragrance, which is surprising that a citrus can last that long. Again, more fresh, has a more of a spicy factor to it, which adds in things to that brightness. It's a more cinnamon kind of quality, but it still has that vanillic powderiness. I get a lot more powdery facets out of this than I do the Parfum version. And of course, I get a lot more actually of the Eros EDT, EDP kind of quality in this than I do the Parfum. But this is way more, like I said, citric, fresh, bright. I think this is more versatile than any of the Eros line. I think you could wear this one way more in the warm seasons like spring and summer, easily even fall and winter. It has the freshness for the warm weather and these sweet kind of powdery, warm facets and the cinnamon facets for the, colder weather. So I think this is way more versatile daytime or nighttime. I think it works great as an office scent, daytime, casual, or even date nights. I think it's just, again, super versatile all the way around, but love it, absolutely love it. Glad I got it. I mean, performance on it, again, it lasted me almost the whole workday, 6 hours, maybe even 7, but it started dying out real quick and being a good skin scent, but it still did a good job for the majority of it. And then that night, I had what we call a small group, some of my church, which is where people, certain groups from my church come over to the house and we all cook together, talk, chat, socialize and fellowship. And I wore this right here, which is another one that I have from Michael Malul's collection, the things he did with Ash from Gent Scents, and is one that, I think one of the first ones that Ash did that caught on, and he did a reiteration of it or a relaunch of it in a different presentation. And it's the second one that I actually picked up right after I picked up Terra Nova. It is Jet Black Enigma. This is gonna be way more woody. So good. Way more woody, spicy. It has cardamom, it has different kind of woods. I know it has an oud note, which is very noticeable and starts drying down in the fragrance. Way more just the nighttime. It's a darker scent, great for date nights, great for the winter, fall season. I think it's more particular for the nighttime though, and that Jet Black Enigma, the dark part, does play into that. I think it's more appropriate for the the nighttime kind of life. But it is super good. Not gonna be the most unique thing. I mean, if you smell things like La Nuit de l'Homme, you smell things like oud wood, it's kind of like a combination of those. Even things with a little more of an oud facet, it's gonna be a little similar to that. This is like Ash's kind of Middle Eastern kind of style fragrance that he tried to do. It is very nice though. The only thing I don't like about it is performance is not really that good. It projects pretty loud for that first hour or so, but it dies off very quickly. And even when it is on your skin for roughly maybe 5 hours, it is very, very intimate. But still, it's a good fragrance. I do like it. Wish it was louder, but still, I don't mind having it. I'm a completionist anyway, so once I get one thing, I want to keep growing it until I get the full set. And I don't mind supporting Ash because I like his content anyway, and I like his creativity and view of fragrances. On that next day, which was Thursday, which I don't think I actually went through telling the days on these, but this was Thursday, I wore something that a lot of people say is actually more of a date night scent, and actually people say that this is the poster child of date night fragrances, especially if you're starting off, that you should try this out, see what you think about it, because it's kind of the one that you need to try, especially getting into like tobacco and more ambery, warm kind of style fragrances. But I actually think it works really good for the daytime. It has a little bit of a good, fresh kind of citric pop at the beginning. It is this one here. Dolce Gabbana is the one, Eau de Parfum. Wore this to the office and it worked perfectly. It does have, tobacco, it's warm, a little herbaceous, a little spicy, but it has a good, I think it's a grapefruit note at the beginning, which stays a good bit for that first, as long as the projection for that first hour or so, it is there. But as it dries down, it is like more intimate, more warm, powdery, spicy. And I know a lot of people will complain about the performance on this, which is actually the main complaint people have, that they love the scent profile, they just wish it lasts longer. But I actually think that because of the poor performance, which is mainly in the projection, the longevity is about maybe 5-6 hours, but it's very, very, very intimate. I do think this makes it lend better to being able to be an office fragrance, not just a date night. Of course, date night, it is good for intimacy because you have people close to you, but office work is the same way, especially if you work in a cubicle or a very closed-in setting. You don't want to be too loud, and I think this plays into helping out with that. Again, like I said, projection is Gonna be no louder than, you know, a medium projection for the first maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much you spray. And longevity is gonna be about 4 or 5 hours, but very, very intimate, but still absolutely love it. It's a gorgeous scent, super, super smooth. And like everyone else says, and I'll say it too, if you haven't smelled this one, definitely try it out. Try out the EDT, see what you think about it, but I think the Eau de Parfum is the best quick go-to. And that nighttime, I got a big fragrance haul in that I was really excited for, and I got this one. I was debating on whether to wear something from the haul or just something I already had picked out, and I decided to go ahead and wear something from the haul just to try it out. That way I could talk about it in this video as well. And I decided to go with this one here, Uomo by Salvatore Ferragamo. Another quintessential date night fragrance that people say you have to get, especially because this is way more cheap than the one EDP or even EDT. This is really good, and I'm surprised that I haven't actually gotten it sooner than now. I've heard people talk about this one and the signature version for a long time, and for some reason just never decided to pull the trigger and get it. But I finally did, wore it up so I can see what it was like, and I gotta say I do really like it. It's not gonna be for everyone though. I can see the gripes some people have with it, with being too syrupy sweet, almost being like a burning plastic or almost like an electrical fire kind of smell. I can see that, and also being too synthetic, but I do like it as it's drying down more. The opening does get a little harsh, but as it dries down, it does round out and become actually very, very sexy. I do get the tiramisu coffee nuance and taste in this. It does get a little vanillic, a little almost smoky, but not quite, a little bit woody, but very ambery, warm. I do like it, and actually getting this one and hearing a lot about Signature, I kind of do want to get Signature now. As far as performance, I did only have one wearing with this, so I really can't tell a whole lot, but projection was about intimate to medium for majority of the life of the fragrance. It did go out a little more for that first 45 minutes or so, but the longevity was well into the night. I mean, it lasted me, and from when I sprayed it and went to bed, which is probably about 6 hours or so, which isn't that bad. I do think it'd be a good date night, especially again, as it dries down, it'll get smoother, a little better, and probably as it macerates, it'll get better as well. But more into the fragrance life, it will get easier to tolerate and probably more tolerable for people around you, but it would be a great date night scent, perfect for fall and winter time. Again, if you want a sweet, almost dessert-like quality, this is good. I actually do notice the coffee in this a lot more than things like, you know, Agio Dubai by Lattafa, which is supposed to be a Black Phantom clone. I actually do notice the coffee more in this than in the other one, and I do really like it. Very, very good still. I mean, it is hyped for a reason. I do think it is warranted. Again, not gonna be for everybody, but everyone should at least try it out once. And like I said, I think I'm gonna try my hand at the Signature version a little later. The next day, which was that Friday, we had a big winter storm that came through. It was a lot of snow and ice and sleet around this area, which we're not really used to or prepared for. And so my work actually told me that we'll be coming in a little later, only staying for a little bit. I woke up early that morning, got ready anyway, just to have a good part in that morning time. But I wanted to have my hand at trying 2 fragrances, one not daytime and one nighttime, and just wear it out and see what it's like. And I started off with this one here. It's the regular Bentley for men, not the intense version, the original version. And I still really like it. So this is gonna be the sweeter between it and the intense version. Way more boozy, ambery, sweet. It does have a good bit of almost a bitter quality at the beginning, and I think it's that bay leaf note. It has a good bit of herbaceous, fresh spiciness on the beginning, has a good bit of woods as it dries down, a little bit of spice, but not too much, but it does get into that warm amber sweetness. Again, that boozy rum note that's in here very early on, and it lasts for majority of the life of the fragrance. The performance on this is really, really good. It projects fairly loud for the first hour, maybe hour and a half, and longevity is easily like 7 hours. Easily, I mean, it may not be a too loud, you know, projector by the end of that, but it's still on your skin, especially on your clothes. Really, really good. And then when I got back from work, which was fairly early in the day, I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock or so, me and my wife decided we're gonna try to risk it and go out and buy groceries, and I still had the dry down on this on my skin, and decided to just layer it on top with the intense version, Bentley for Men Intense, and that actually worked out perfectly. So if you want to try that hack, try it out on the dry down of the regular version, spray the intense version on top of it. And immediately what was different between the two is that this isn't as sweet as the original one, but it is definitely way more smoky with an incense note, especially the leather that comes up behind it, adding a little more depth and richness, almost an animalic nature, but not too heavy. You just get a little bit more darkness in here. This is the darker version of that, but this is also the more intense version. I sprayed it, you know, fairly about the same amount that I did the other one, and went out to get groceries, and I really couldn't smell it myself. I thought, man, you know, I thought this would do a little better than that. Was going through Walmart, we're going through, almost got our groceries, we're heading to the checkout, and then a couple stopped me and was like, hey, I'm sorry, I want to ask you, what are you wearing? Because we've been smelling you all through the store as we've been going around and saw you going around, and we had to find out what you're wearing, and I told them, so I got an unwarranted compliment with this one. It's actually projecting a lot louder and had a way better sillage than I thought, and it lasted me actually almost all the way into the night. I thought about trying another fragrance on when I got home, but I decided to wait. I mean, it lasted me easily 8+ hours, even on top of what the original Bentley gave me. So that was a knockout combo between those two. Really, really good. Still recommend this one. Very high niche quality for a very low price. It's hyped for a reason, and I think it deserves it way more than most of these here. But it's not gonna be for everybody, but definitely try it out. And then you get into today, Saturday. I decided to try out one that is a brand that I just told you about, and I haven't had a lot of chance to wear it. This is my second time wearing it, but I do really like it. This is also from Scent Trunk, and it is called Stroopwafel. And just like the name says, this smells like a Stroopwafel. It's a desserty, caramel, sweet, vanilla, almost pastry quality, but it has a lot of woodiness. I think there's an oak or like white oak note in here, a good bit of smokiness. There's actually a fireplace note in here, as well as smokiness in here. It's a way more masculine than the name would suggest, but it does have a almost maple syrup, kind of syrupy quality in the background, but it's not too sweet. This is just an absolutely gorgeous, very well-balanced fragrance. Really, really good. It's not gonna have, I mean, at least the time that I wore it before, and even now, it doesn't have the best longevity or projection. Of course, it depends on how much you spray on, but still, it is a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. I mean, as far as projection, I usually get, you know, medium for about like the first 45 minutes or so, but as it dries down, it lasts probably about, well, it's 5 or 6 hours or so. But then again, it depends on how much you spray, how long you let it sit, and also your skin chemistry, but still, it is a wonderful fragrance. Very artistic. It smells like a mixture of By the Fireplace and Whiff of Waffle Cone by Imaginary Authors. So, I mean, if you can imagine a almost perfectly in between but masculine version of those two fragrances, that is this one. Highly recommend that you try it out and get a sample of it. All right, guys, that's all I have for week 2 of the weekly rotations video. What do you think of what I've worn through this week? Do you own any of these? If you do, what do you think about them? What do you think about the ones that I wore from Scent Trunk? Does it pique your interest in trying them out? Because I can recommend that you at least try out, buy a sample pack from them and see what you think about them. They're a really good independent company. Again, I'm not sponsored by them. I just personally discovered them, really like them, and I highly recommend to try them out if you want that more unique artistic side to perfumery. And again, guys, this is a new format and style of video on this channel. Let me know what you think about it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is there anything you think I should change or add to it? Any way to make it more exciting or involving? Please let me know in the comments below. I love reading your comments and responding back to you and just getting that community and involvement going. But if you did enjoy this video, please consider giving it a like and thumbs up so I know to keep making more like this. And if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, but you do like what you see here or something's piqued your interest, please consider subscribing and give us some support to the channel, even hitting that notification bell so you can see when I upload more videos in the future, because there's a lot of things that I have planned, and I'd love to have you ride along with me on this cheap fragrance journey, and maybe I can even help you discover something new along the way. And as usual, guys, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you again for watching, for being here. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will see all of you again in the next video of the week. Be blessed.